the finer things in life. Happily, some are affordable, like Grey Poupon Dijon mustard. Grey Poupon is so fine, it's even made with white wine. Its original French Dijon recipe adds distinctive flavor to beef, pork, and poultry, salad dressing and sauces, and of course sandwiches. So enjoy one of life's finer pleasures.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon?
But of course.
Grey Poupon. It even has wine.
That's you.
But of course.
Of course. Give us that line again.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon?
Still got it.
You got it, Craig. You still got it, man. Welcome to the Paul Begley podcast, and boy, we are going to have fun. Okay, just get ready. We're going to have an absolute great time today. We're here in the studios here in Wildwood, Florida, of course, the home of Freedom Fellowship, and it's great to have in studio one of the legends of all time in Hollywood, and my son, Paul Begley Jr. from Seattle, Washington, but with us also from right here in the Villages. One of, if you remember the Grey Poupon Man, then you will know Craig Lidler. So let me just swing the mic to both those guys and let Paul do the bio here.
Well, thanks, Pastor. Yeah, it's great to be here. The first time we're doing a live, everybody live, no strings attached virtual interview. And it's great to meet you, Craig, finally in person.
Right?
Yeah, it's
exactly.
Great. We had Craig on, I don't know, maybe 30 episodes ago, kind of when we were first starting this thing out.
Yeah. But we had to test it out with him first because he was the perfect guy to test on.
Right. Sounds like my career.
If it failed, we just blame it on him if it fails. Instead, it was a highly successful.
Yeah, good. I hope so.
Yeah. So I wanted to give a brief intro here. If you guys have been following the podcast for a little while, you've seen Craig before. It's not going to be a redundant interview. We're going to get more into the background of Hollywood with Craig. So today we're honored to welcome back to the podcast seasoned actor Craig Lidler. Craig has a career spanning over 5 decades in television, film, and theater. He's best known for his lead role as Jason in Jason of Star Command, and he's also made memorable appearances in The Love Boat, Dallas, Wonder Woman, and The Dukes of Hazzard. Beyond the screen, Craig's journey began in musical theater, leading him to Hollywood, where he became a familiar face in both drama and comedy. He even delivered the now iconic Grey Poupon commercial line, which I don't know if I'll ask him to do it today, but maybe he will.
Oh, of course. Pardon me.
Today, though, we're promoting his new book that just came out, Craig Lidler, Legacy of an Actor, My Life and Times in Hollywood.
We've all got it.
Which tells his extraordinary story of life beginning in Syracuse, New York, taking on early jobs as a cowboy, a lifeguard, and a part-time alligator wrestler.
What? Alligator wrestler?
Oh, man. Well, the one time by accident alligator wrestler. I'll tell that story.
Okay.
Crazy.
Well, actually, that's a perfect place to start, Craig, if you would tell us this.
Yeah, I mean, how in the world do you wrestle gators? I mean, that's dangerous.
Well, yeah, what happened was I first of all, let me just start briefly at the beginning. I was born in Syracuse, New York in 1941, and I lived there till I was 12 years old. A great family, mother, father, brother, and sister, great family. We moved to Vero Beach, Florida in 1954 when I was 12. And we had a wonderful life there. Became a country boy at that point. I was working as a lifeguard and working at McKee Jungle Gardens, where I wrestled the alligator, and as a cowboy for a couple of years and some construction. So I was doing basic waiter. I was a waiter and a bun boy. And explain.
I'm not even going to ask that. I'm not even going to ask what that is.
I got to tell you that. Anyway, so I started getting into music and theater when I was 14, 15. I was a swing dancer and jitterbug, we called it. And I got into the junior, senior class play, and I was singing in shows and singing with a band, a little country western. They called it country western then, and I just realized that I just loved entertaining. And
Yeah.
none of my family had been in this. Well, my grandmother had. She was a lead singer for Isham Jones back in the late teens and 20s.
Wow.
But so I got involved in all that, and I ended up doing the Theater Guild play, a couple of them, and one called The Heiress, which was quite popular there. And the director of the guild was Gene Davis, and he said, "Craig, I think you should go to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts and pursue a career because I think you're very good, and I think you could do well." And I thought, well, I said to him, "Well, you know, you, I'm going to become a professional actor." I mean, I was like 18 years old, and I was just, or 19. I was stunned, you know.
Yeah,
Going, well, that guy said, "I don't know about that." And he said, "No, I think you do very well." So he applied to the American Academy, and sure enough, I got a letter back for a scholarship, and they gave me a scholarship.
Okay.
And based on the first year, they would renew the scholarship for the second year. So I did that. And well, anyway, during that time in Vero Beach, when I worked at the Jungle Gardens, we were cleaning up the water lily pads, this other young man and I, and that was part of our job, to get in waders and walk in the pads, in amongst the pads, and cut them and clean them out, clear them out. And we got about 10 feet from this little bridge where we were crossing over to do the work, and he looked at me, Sylvester. He looked at me and said, "Craig, get the gig." And he was just staring straight ahead. And I looked, and I said to Gator, he went, "Yeah." I was looking right at him, and I saw these two beady eyes looking at him, probably 10 feet away. And he said, "Get the gig." So we had this 10-foot gig on a bamboo pole, and a 4-pronged gig used for just that thing. And he'd come in from the maze, from the jungle, that night before, and he was killing the ducks and everything. So I gave him the gig. Now, he was the quarterback for the black football team then. Of course, then it was all segregated. And
Yeah,
great young man, great quarterback, great athlete. And I handed him the gig, and he took it back and threw that thing, and it went down in the water and up into the gator's neck, and it stuck right in his neck.
Wow.
And he grabbed the pole, and he's doing this and trying to bring it to shore, and he's trying to step out of the waders and in onto the shore, so he handed it to me.
That's a handoff. That's an actual handoff.
Yeah,
Here,
you're right.
deal with the gator.
I'm going, "This ain't football. Don't give me that thing. Then I don't want that brick." So anyway, he handed me the pole, and I finally got him doing this with a pole and getting the gator on shore, and he's about maybe 3-4 feet from the end, or 5 feet from the end of the pole, and it snapped.
The pole snapped.
The pole snapped, and he dropped right at my feet, hit me with his tail. Down I went, right on top of him. He's about, I think we measured, he's about 4.5 feet, 5 feet. It was pretty big.
Yeah, that's a big gator.
Big enough to hurt you.
Definitely.
And I just was like, I didn't, I was a strong kid though.
Yeah.
And so I grabbed him by a front leg and a back leg, grabbed him by the snout, and I got one, and we're rolling because they do that death roll.
They do that
We're
death
on the
roll.
ground. I'm doing this. Finally, I get on top of him. We hold him, and Sylvester went in, and he got a noose and put it around his snout, and we tied his snout up and dragged him into the gator pond, which I used to clean.
Yeah.
With 10-foot gators in it.
Yeah,
It was
great.
and,
Crazy.
and so the funny thing was, there are the tourists had just started coming in. It's probably 7:30 in the morning, and they're looking at taking pictures. And I thought, they think this is a show, and my heart's going like this, and I'm going, "Oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me!" So anyway, and we put him in the pond, and he stayed there for the rest of his life.
Lived in the pond.
As far as I know, probably old. He's older than I am. And then I went from Vero Beach, and of course, lifeguarding and all that. I went from that to, at 20, just when I turned 20 years old, to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And it's a 2-year drama school that's accredited by New York University. In other words, once you graduate there, you can go into your junior year at New York University as a drama student, and it's accredited. So I did that. I went there for 2 years. I got the scholarship the second year, and I was studying dance and fencing and Shakespeare and speech and voice and singing, and I focused on musical comedy. So I then graduated in 1963, and I stayed in New York City a few years and tried to jumpstart a career on Broadway, but Broadway was a very difficult area to crack. I thought I was talented, and I was a good singer. I wasn't a great singer. I was a good actor. I wasn't Al Pacino. And I could dance, I could move, and I had all the attributes for it, but the competition was just
Tough.
Right.
I mean, it was just, and after about 3 years, this friend of mine, Dan Keogh, and I decided to jump ship and go to Hollywood and try our luck in the film business because it was just so grueling. We go on auditions and the talent was so good. You're sitting there going, oh man, I can't do this. So in January 66, we went to Hollywood.
Wow.
And of course, as I mentioned before, about 68, I was working in a gas station, midnight, graveyard shift, and I saw an audition for the Fantastics, for the lead in the Fantastics, El Gallo. It's a famous show, the longest running off-Broadway show in history. And I auditioned for that El Gallo, and I got it, and I spent a year on stage with that, and a big producer from Broadway and a film producer came to the show, and his name was Robert Fryer, very famous man. And I didn't know it at the time, but anyway, he came backstage, he congratulated me, and he had been an investor in the original show off Broadway. And he said, Craig, I think you're good. I think you can do really well in Hollywood. And I was just like, I said, oh, thank you, And he said, I'm going to see to it. I'm going to try and introduce you to some people and get your career moving. And he did. He sent me to Joyce Selznick, David O. Selznick's niece, famous Gone with the Wind, David O. Selznick. Joyce was his niece, and great lady. She started, several big actors. She was their big influence in their careers. And so I went and met with her, and she brought the people in to listen to me. I auditioned for them. And they put me under a 5-year or 7-year contract to Paramount Pictures.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And I was making $80 a week in the gas station, graveyard shift.
Yeah.
Right.
I went from that going to the studios, to the Paramount Studios, making $250 a week. Well, that's
a jump. That was a big jump.
Yeah. I was just stunned. It was just, I'd never seen that much money. It was just so great. $250 a week and just hanging out and working with a drama coach and doing all that. Anyway, so we finally, I spent about a year doing that, and they asked me to do this movie with Clint Eastwood, which actually I had auditioned for.
Okay.
Called Paint Your Wagon.
Okay.
And I ran into Clint on the lot, and I said hello, and I didn't ask him why he was there. He'd just come back from Good, Bad, and Ugly, and he was a big star.
Yeah.
And turns out he was there to talk to the producers about doing the lead, and I was in there auditioning for
the
it.
lead. So now you're taking on Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
You made his day.
Make my day. Yeah. But I got to tell you that I was a better singer than him. Clint is not a singer.
Okay.
If you see the movie, he talks the lyric.
The lyrics.
And I had a great audition with Josh Logan and Alan J. Lerner, who famous.
Yeah.
I sang when I went in the audition. Alan J. Lerner was there. Josh Logan. He said, "Hey, could you sing for me?" And there's a piano. Now, this is a famous man. Alan J. Lerner is one of the greatest songwriters and wrote, sang for the Queen of England and played and he wrote famous songs. And he said, talk to the trees. You talk to the trees, but they won't listen to me. And I said, yeah, I know a little bit of. So he gets on the piano, and I'm sitting there in front of Jocelyn, these big famous people.
Yeah.
And Joyce Selznick's there.
Mm-mm.
And he starts playing it. I said, you talk to the trees, but they don't listen to me. And I went dead blank.
Oh, no.
And he's at the piano looking at me going, he said, Craig, don't worry about it. I went up in one of my songs in front of the Queen of England, and it was my own song. So he said, anyway, they got up. I read. I didn't get the movie. Clint did, and I was offered a small part, a 5 and under, they call it, 5 lines or under. And my agent said to me, Craig, don't do it. They may drop you from your contract, but don't do it because it's going to stunt your career. We can do a lot more for you in those 3 months. You're going to be gone to Oregon shooting that. And so I didn't. They dropped me from the contract, which I still not sure. I don't regret to this day, but
Yeah.
and they did. They got me Mannix, and I did the Mannix TV show, and I did a couple of movies at that time, Barquero, More Dead Than Alive, with, Clint Walker and Francis Vincent Price and all those people.
Yeah.
I started working with them and do it anyway. And then it sort of went on from there for
The ride kept going.
for the entire. I spent 5 years in New York City and 55 in Hollywood. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience, And during that time when I got to Hollywood, I lived at this, Dan and I, my buddy, and I lived in this apartment building, and one of the tenants was Goldie Hawn.
Okay.
Well, Goldie was just trying to get started. She was just another kid. She was a dancer, and she wanted to do chorus on Broadway. And she ended up in Hollywood too. And I told her, I said, well, we're a long way from Broadway to be doing some that. But anyway, Juliette Prowse had a show, a musical, come to Hollywood, and they were doing it. And we all auditioned for it. None of us got it. But Goldie then suddenly got this opportunity for Laugh-In. She'd done this other little gig that got her some recognition, but not much. And anyway, they put on Laugh-In, and they were so unhappy with her and her performance that they were going to drop her. The word went out that they were going to drop. She was only a guest star at that point.
Yeah, okay.
They were not going to bring her back. Well, the audience started writing letters by the thousands. They loved her because what she was doing was when she got her dialogue for the skits, she would mess it up.
Purposely.
No. She just couldn't remember.
She couldn't remember. So
she just couldn't remember, and she'd go, and that became that famous giggle of hers. Sort of like Judy Holliday.
Yeah.
And it made her a star. Messing
up on Laugh-In.
Messing it up. She made her a star. Now that's Hollywood. That is a classic. Man, that is Hollywood. I'm telling you, you just never know. You asked about Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck. Tell us about that. I mean, you competed a little bit with Clint Eastwood, or whatever. But Tom Selleck. I mean, you guys were friends, right?
Yes, we were.
You still are. Yeah,
we were friends, and we auditioned. We auditioned against each other a lot because Tom was 6'3", I'm 6'4", and Sam Elliott. We all went up for the same.
Oh, Sam Elliott too. I forgot. It's the same era.
And Sam was a friend of ours, and we all auditioned for these commercials and things. And it was just, I mean, it was really, really fun. Of course, none of us were known at all at that point. And I think I told you the story, but I was driving down Sunset Boulevard by Whiskey A Go-Go. It's a famous corner in Sunset just before you enter Beverly Hills. And I ended up having a home right above that up in the hills as I got more successful. It was great. In fact, I owned David Jansen's mother's home.
Oh, really?
That's where we lived.
Wow.
My wife and I and my kids. Anyway, so Tom drives up next to me, happens to hit the stoplight right there at Whiskey, same time as I did. And I rolled down my window and said, Tom, he said, hey, Craig, how you doing? I said, great. How you doing? I said, he had a script on the wheel. He's driving. And
he's looking at a script.
And I said, what do you have there? And he said, oh, it's another pilot. He said, I'm the king of the unsold pilot. He had done 9 of them, and they all failed. So this one was called Magnum PI. And I said, what is it? He said, Magnum PI. Oh, it shoots in Hawaii. And he said, I don't know. I have to go to Hawaii and live there for a while. And I said, Tom, at least the studio's behind you and you got a shot. I haven't read for a pilot in a year. So good luck with it. Well, to the audience, you know what happened from there. I mean, he suddenly, a few years into that, became this big star. And of course, he is to this day.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, the point of that story is that you just never know. I did a pilot called Code 3 about 3 emergency room doctors. I was one of the stars of it. The studio loved it. They actually booked it, put it on the air Tuesday night at 7:30 or 8:30, I think, on ABC. And they called me when I was up in Utah, and they said, your show's on.
It's on the air.
It's been booked for a Tuesday night. Well, I was just
thrilled.
Oh, you had no idea that we were going to show it.
Yeah. You never know. A pilot, they run it, and you don't know what's going to happen. Oh. They said they liked it. They're booking. They're putting it on the air. I thought, I've got a series on the air, man. This is my break.
This is your break.
I swear to you, this is a true story. Not an hour later, I'm with my brother up in Utah. He was living in Utah. I used to go up there hunting and fishing with all the guys, do a lot of horseback riding, a lot of hunting on horseback. And I was up there doing another one, whitewater rafting. And I'm sitting at my brother's place, and they call back, and we're, of course, celebrating.
Yeah, it's a celebration. You've hit the home run here.
Yeah, I'm going, wow, man. I'm on the air, Gary, and my brother Gary. And I said, I was just, and all of a sudden they call back. It's my agents again. And they say, Craig, I got some bad news. And I went, oh no. And they said, they just dropped your series. They're putting on a comedy with Cleavon Little, who I didn't know at that time. But at that point in Hollywood, they were very into hiring more ethnic. They wanted to get more black people working in the business. More of them had been members of the guild, and they wanted to get them into the business. And I know this happened because Cleavon told me that. And they dropped my show and put Cleavon on and gave me a couple guest stars on it. And Cleavon became a star, and I didn't. I mean, it just so. You just never know in show business. So much of it's opportunity and timing. You have to have talent.
You have to have talent.
You have to have talent. You have to have something they can promote.
Right.
They made it. Sam Elliott made it to stardom, and I became well known in Hollywood, but I didn't make stardom. So
maybe we should show something that you are known for. All right. Let me move this a little bigger. Green. See if you folks remember this.
The finer things in life. Happily, some are affordable, like Grey Poupon Dijon mustard. Grey Poupon is so fine, it's even made with white wine. Its original French Dijon recipe adds distinctive flavor to beef, pork, and poultry, salad dressing and sauces, and of course sandwiches. So enjoy one of life's finer pleasures.
Pardon me. Would you have any Grey Poupon?
But of course.
Grey Poupon. It even has wine.
That's you.
But of course.
Of course. Give us that line again.
Pardon me. Would you have any Grey Poupon?
Still got it.
You got it, Craig. You still got it, man.
And I was only about 40 years younger then. But another quirk of show business. That was a commercial, obviously, that was unknown. The mustard was not on the shelves. They haven't distributed it yet. It was
brand new product.
Brand new product. They were just preparing it to go out. It didn't come out on the shelves, the gondolas at the stores for 9 months, maybe something like that. And I thought, another commercial. I did 170, I think, plus written 170 commercials, most of them national, some very famous. And this one, I thought, I'm going to make a few $1,000s and, have to shoot and everything. And it'll never run because we get paid on residuals and commercials. Every time it runs, actor gets a check. So I thought,
it'll never run. It never do anyway. It'd go nowhere.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. And I called my mother, was working at Publix out here in Florida. And I said, Mom, do you see a Grey Poupon on the shelves? She said, no. I kept saying that month after month, no. And all of a sudden she called me and said, well, it's on the shelves. Well, actors make most of their money in residuals, as I said. That ended up running for 13 years.
Wow.
Off and on here and there.
Yeah.
But they kept renegotiating with me, and I probably made $200,000 to $250,000 on that one silly commercial.
On that one shot.
I shot for 2 days.
Yep.
And it ran for 13 years. I mean, show business is so weird and quirky. You just never know.
Yeah.
Well, I remember that commercial, and it would run, and then you'd see it again and see it again. After a while, and then we started buying Grey Poupon. I love it.
Yeah,
because you can use it on. I love it on sandwiches. I love it on salads. It goes everywhere.
Right, and that's what they say on the commercial. Exactly, just that simple.
Yeah.
And a pastor, then they started doing. Paul, they started doing other versions of it.
Yeah.
After 2 or 3 years, they still ran mine, but they did other versions, and they were never as successful because what they didn't understand was the simplicity of that. Saying it, and the other guy in the Rolls Royce, it works in sandwiches and salads, and he's eating. And Grey Poupon, pardon me, Jerry, Grey Poupon, the bottle sits on the right in front of the can.
Right.
Real simple.
It's simple.
Then they started doing goofy things and trying to make comedy skits out of it. And, keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple.
And I wrote them and said, hey, I'm still here. I can do it. We can say Grey Poupon then and still popular today with the same actors. And they
blew you off.
Right.
Yeah, they blew me. But they did hire me the next time they made it and put it on the Super Bowl, which was one of the last things I did. Some 30 years later, they hired me as a sort of a glorified extra.
Oh, I didn't see that.
A remake.
Yeah, it was the one where they were driving through the golf course and crashing and everything. And,
you got to get that and put that on the show.
Yeah.
Edit that in here.
Yeah,
Okay.
But I'm in a rolling shot that you can't even see me. I'm playing a golfer in it. And I was so upset. I went home to my wife and I said, honey, that was the most embarrassing because that was my big spot. It was famous.
Right.
And they knew it. They knew it.
And
they all were talking to me, oh my gosh, what was it like when you first did that? And then I end up an extra, basically, and I was not happy. I did not.
You should have been featured in that.
You should have been featured.
I can still say it. Pardon me. Would you have any Grey Poupon?
Right.
Yeah, you could have done it. Everyone would have remembered the voice. They would have
like,
remembered
that's the guy. Yeah,
that's the guy. He's still with us.
That's right. That voice. He's got that voice.
They missed out. I think they definitely missed out.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go back to the story, Craig, you were telling about Goldie Hawn, and this all kind of ties together about, the Goldie Hawn thing. Really, to me, it sounds like they saw authenticity in her messing up, which they ended up, making her a big star out of that, promoting that. But you had mentioned, how many commercials did you say? Because it's listed here in your book. I was just kind of looking through.
Well, that's most of them. About 170.
170.
I did, and many played on the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
which
is awesome. If that happens.
Yeah. I think about 6 of them ran on the Super Bowl, and of course some of them won Clio's, which is like the Academy Award of commercials. So
yeah,
but Goldie, I mean, that's just a classic Hollywood. What happened there? Goldie didn't prepare for that. Actors, actors prepare for parts in a lot of different ways, but primarily you do research and you have in your mind a certain character, and you, if it's a true life character, you look that character up and you get the mannerisms and you really study it and you work at the emotions of it and you work in building that character. Goldie didn't do it. She just went, hey, man, and messed it up. And it made her a star. So,
yeah, well, that's what worked.
Yeah,
that's what they wanted at that point.
Yeah, and then they decided they had liked it so much, they made her a regular and wrote it around that. They told her, don't ever get it right.
Always.
Yeah, don't ever get it right.
Easy prep work for her.
And I thought, wait a minute, here I am busting my neck trying to get this thing, get these characters down. And I must say that I was successful, Paul, somewhat. There were parts that I did more research and did a better job as a result of it when I did, like Laverne and Shirley, when I did that guest star as Laverne's boyfriend.
Right.
It's called New Year's Eve, 1959. That's the segment if people want to look it up. And I really worked on that Midwest, hey, Laverne, Laverne, you got to watch, get New York. But I tried to get more of the Midwest. I was in it. It worked well. It was one of my favorite segments, one of my favorite shows, as a result of, of that, of working that hard on it. So it was very rewarding. But you other actors prefer. Yeah. Goldie went on to a big acting. She won Academy Award.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And was for Cleo. I mean, Emmys and. So she learned to do that, and she became very good. I never ever thought Goldie would be a big star. I just didn't. I mean, I knew Laughing to Go, but I had no idea that I would watch her at the Academy Awards accept an Academy Award.
Wow.
I was sitting there going, "Wow,
Yeah.
you got to be
Yeah,
kidding."
because you and her and some of the others were, basically living in the same area there, just trying to scrape by and make it. And everybody trying to get hanging out with her, knowing who
All
she
struggling,
was.
yeah.
Thinking, how in the world did this happen?
all struggling.
Yep.
But Goldie was and I ran into her many times. She became a bigger and bigger star. I lost touch with her, but I ran into her several times after that, and she was always just as darling, just really a nice girl. She was a nice lady, and she's really fun to be around.
Yeah.
She's a good girl. Yeah. And Tom's a great guy, Tom Selleck.
Yeah.
Sam's a little more moody, but Tom Selleck's just the sweetest guy. He's just is brought up very well, the religious family, and he didn't drink, didn't swear. And I mean, the guy was just a good looking man. I mean, the guy was intimidating.
He's still a good looking guy. I see. He's doing those reverse mortgages things.
Is he?
He's doing commercials on reverse mortgage. He's still out there doing it. Yeah.
He just, then, and I have that picture when I go off doing book signings. I have a bunch of pictures of my career on the table, and one's with Tom Selleck out socially with my ex-wife. And, even my ex-wife was all like, "Oh man," she's all Google over. Tom was such a good-looking guy, but he was real.
Kind of mellow though.
Unassuming and mellow. Oh yeah, very, very cool. Cool.
I mean,
guy.
this book, folks, is incredible. You got to get a copy of this right here. Craig Lidler, The Legacy of an Actor, My Life and Times in Hollywood.
Correct.
I mean, you were Gordon Fisherman.
Yep.
You were the lead role in Star Command.
Yeah,
Jason of Star Command. Right. Yeah.
And then you were Frankenstein a lot.
I was Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, and I've seen there's pictures in here in the book. But can we play Gordon? Because I mean, you are the original Gordon Fisherman.
Well, no, actually, Denny Miller of Tarzan fame was the first one. I took over from him.
But you played Tarzan too.
No,
you took over for Tarzan.
I took over for Tarzan.
That's hard to do.
Denny Miller, and he was, and he did it for several years, and then I took over and did Gordon's, and they had to grow the beard, and
I think that's a good look, Craig.
Let's look at this one because Craig
hide the face.
Let's look at this. I think this is before you even grow the gray beard and everything. Check this out, guys. This is here's Gordon. Wait a minute. Take that back. Give me some sound too. Wait.
That's not mine.
Oh,
that's not you?
No.
Who is that?
That's the new guy. That's after me.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Get rid of that.
That's they went to a younger guy, and you notice he doesn't have the
beard. I'll find it.
That's iconic. The beard.
Go back to these guys.
Why did they do that?
Yeah, that's weird.
Go back to these guys.
Why would you change from a beard? Yeah, no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Everybody's used to having the bearded Gordon Fisherman. Why would you have a clean shaven?
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, the whole point is that look, the slicks and that rugged, out-weathered, with the big beard.
Yeah, he's been out to sea.
Yeah,
This
you
one.
see, that guy.
This one. Wait a minute. Okay, wait.
That guy doesn't look like a fisherman.
No.
Hang on.
I don't.
You got to get through the ads.
That's not it
tender.
either. I don't think.
Tender white fish.
That's not
Crunch-
it either?
No, I
New
don't
Gordon's
think so.
What in the world? Is this
Oh.
is this you on the Late Show?
No.
How many copycats is there on Gordon Fisherman from Craig?
I don't know.
I will find it, guys. Is this you?
Several people did.
Tell
it.
me this is you. That's
I think you had it.
Oh, no, he's the best looking one.
I know. Where is he?
No, that ain't it.
No.
You got white hair, all of the white hair.
That's Denny Miller right there.
That's okay. Wait,
there I am. I
that's
think.
you, right?
I think.
I think that's the real Craig Lidler.
See the pretty fish, Stevie?
Yes, that's me.
Dad,
I know
Dad,
that.
can I have that one? Can I?
Not
I'll have
exactly.
to ask Mom, but I'm sure she'll say yes.
Your family's been waiting for fish like this. Introducing Gorton's new Potato Crunch Fillets. Real potatoes make a crispy,
And I'm
crunchy,
doing the
golden brown
voiceover in that
potato
too.
breading outside.
Oh, that's great.
Tender, flaky white fish inside.
Where do potato crunch fish come from?
Only from Gorton's. New Potato
See, now
Crunch
that's the
Fillets.
iconic
That's the
look.
iconic. That's,
Even on the box.
yeah, that's the real
Right.
deal there.
Yeah.
See the
He
pretty
didn't
fish,
have a
Stevie?
clean shaven Gordon Fisherman on
I
the
mean-
box.
Dad, can I have that one? Can
It's
I?
like they did it with
I'll have
Grey
to ask
Poupon.
Mom, but I'm sure she'll say yes.
Your family's been waiting for fish like this. Introducing Gorton's new Potato Crunch Fillets. Real potatoes make a crispy, crunchy, golden brown potato breading outside with tender, flaky white fish inside.
Where do potato crunch fish come from?
Only from Gorton's. New Potato Crunch Fillets.
Trust the Gorton's fish.
The real deal
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
You are Gordon's Fisherman.
Yeah, he's even
got
on
all
the-
these imposters they're trying to
He's
pick.
even on the
Exactly.
box.
He's on the
It's not a
box.
clean shaven dude on the box.
Right, exactly. And I didn't get residuals for that.
You should have got residuals
yeah.
on the box.
Well, no, that's an image on the box. That's not any of the actors. That's a drawn image.
And then you became the
Right,
actor
we
of
just
the
became-
drawing.
Right.
Right.
It's like when I did.
But you made it. I mean, you made Gordon's Fisherman.
Yeah.
You made. This is why my mom bought it. This is why she went to the store and bought it because of Craig.
Yeah, right.
She loved the guy. I don't know if you ever met the guy that played Wyatt Earp in 1961 or 2, whatever. I don't know. That might have been before you got to Hollywood.
No, well, I got there in 61.
Okay.
66.
And to the life of me, I cannot remember the man's name, but it was a series that only ran a couple years, and it was Wyatt Earp. He played Wyatt Earp. But my mom loved the guy so much that she named me Paul Wyatt Begley.
Oh,
But it's not after Wyatt Earp; it's after that guy. But you probably met him. You got to, when did you get to Hollywood? 68.
I went 66 to Hollywood,
Yeah, and
but I was working as a car parker. It took me a couple of years to get going.
Okay, look, can we go back, Paul, to
Yeah,
to when he was in Broadway, when he was early in 63? He met President John F. Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe. Can you tell that story? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. And again, back to New York. This was 1963. I was just about to graduate from the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and they came to me and to about, I guess 10 other wannabe actors there at the Academy, and asked us if we wanted to be hosts at a birthday party.
Mm.
And I said, okay. Now, and they said it's for somebody well known,
Okay.
and on Park Avenue at the Waldorf Astoria. And I
Nice.
said, oh,
That's
wow,
nice,
okay.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave us these whatever colored jackets, and we looked real upscale and official. And so we went there, and it was empty, but it was right as you walk in the entranceway into the Waldorf Astoria and up these stairs, and there's this foyer
mhm.
and a balcony above it up here, and on the sides they put bleachers either side of that stairway, and all of a sudden, I went and I was there for several hours and nothing much had happened. They were just sort of preparing and telling us what to do and where to stand. And I was right here at the stairs. And then the other kids were like this and around. And I went down to the front door and looked out, and Park Avenue was empty. I mean, as far as I could see north and south, it was empty. I went,
Nobody else?
whoa, I'd never seen that before. I mean, that's
Yeah.
in New York. It is like house. And I thought, oh man, this must be somebody really,
Yeah.
you know. And all of a sudden, Secret Service came in and started asking us very direct questions and where you're from and why are you here and what I've done. And it dawned on me it was somebody politically, and then at some point they told us this is John F. Kennedy's birthday party, and I was like, oh my
Whoa.
gosh,
Yeah.
you gotta be kidding me. I mean, you know, I'm 22 years old. It's like, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm going to meet the president of the United States, and then of course all the guests started coming in. And a lot of them performers, Ed Sullivan and Danny Thomas and Ann Margaret, you know, and all these celebrities were going to sing and perform and do stuff for Kennedy. And all of a sudden, I'm expecting him to come in the front, up the back entrance, up the back of the building. He comes walking in through with Bobby Kennedy and Pierre Salinger.
Wow.
And they go walking up, and they're sitting right above me up here, maybe 10 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's just a little balcony
Yeah.
up there. I mean, and I remember looking up, and he's chewing on this big cigar, which of course he loved to do.
JFK.
Good
Yeah.
looking man, nice,
Yeah.
and he was sort of hunched over. He had this sort of bad posture, and he instead of sitting straight up, and very tanned. And anyway, they all performed, and I'm sitting there just before they started the activities. And this lady, I think I told you this lady was sitting right next to me, elderly lady, about my mother's age, just the nicest, sweetest lady. And she said, hi, what's your name? I'm Craig, and Craig Littler. And she said, what are you doing here, Craig? I said, well, you know, American Academy, I want to be an actor, but she said, oh, that's how sweet. And I said, and so why are you here? She said, oh, my husband's is one of the performers. And I said, who's your husband? She said, Ed Sullivan. Well, some of the audience, you're young, you're not going to know. Ed Sullivan was very famous. He had a very famous show. There's a theater in New York City called the Ed Sullivan Theater,
Right.
where the Beatles first came.
Right.
And it was just amazing. She was just the sweetest lady. And I said, oh, yes, I know
who Ed Sullivan is.
I know who he is. And of course, he was backstage. And then they all came out and said things and did comedy routines and sang and did stuff. And then all of a sudden, it's this red or black screen, curtain, I can't remember. And this pin spot comes on it. And out walks Marilyn Monroe in that tight sheath dress, you know,
Right.
just tight like a Band-Aid.
Right.
And and she walks out, probably 15 feet from me, and sings "Happy Birthday to you, Happy Birthday to Happy Birthday, Mr. President." Well, you know, it's famous.
It's a famous thing.
And I'm standing there looking at her, and I'm going, I can't believe I'm looking at Marilyn Monroe and John F. Kennedy, who was a famous president. I mean, he was one of the most charming, famous presidents of all time.
Right.
And so she finished. That was the closing act, and down he came, and he stands, and Paul, sitting right here, that's John Kennedy.
Okay.
And there's Marilyn, where your coffee cup is, not 3 feet away, and I'm standing right here, and they're like here, and I'm going. It was just like,
and it is
Yeah,
one of the most. This is one of the most historical moments in the history of the country, really.
I know,
And you're standing that close to it.
I know. And 6 months later, he was dead, and I've never seen that to even go, what? Because I was standing there right in front of her and John and Bobby and Pierre, and then Bobby. I also saw him the day before he got killed. He was doing
in California
promotion. Yeah, it was doing at a famous blanking on theater, and I'd gone to see him. He was promoting his career. I mean, his run for the president.
Right.
And next day, he went to the hotel and got shot. I mean, it's like I was part of their life and death legacy. It was just weird.
Yeah.
It was very exciting, though. I was just amazed. And my gosh, I wasn't even a total professional at that point. I was still studying.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
So I wanted to ask Craig. So I don't know if Hollywood, when you were still involved with all of it and doing the pilots and trying to get a big break with it, and then running the commercials as well. I don't know if it was so. The temptations of Hollywood it's really what I want to ask you about, because John F. Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe, obviously the temptation was there historically. How were you able to avoid the temptations while you were in Hollywood?
Good question. Well, one of the reasons, Paul, I think, is that I, again, never achieved celebrity star status. When you get into more of the celebrity star status, even the beginning of stardom, you get exposed to the more of the underbelly of Hollywood. And the underbelly of Hollywood is not a pretty picture. I can tell anyone in this audience who is planning on going to Hollywood to become an actor or actress that you've got to keep your values and your morals in check, or they're going to use you and abuse you. And I'm telling you, it's all right here. If you have to be prepared to not sacrifice, I told my parents I would not change. I would not change my name, which I didn't. They wanted me to. There's just so many devil worshippers in that underbelly, so many evil pedophile, just awful people. Now, mind you, not all Hollywood. A lot of them are very nice. The people I knew were very nice. Even the ones that became stars. They weren't part of that I know of. But the Playboy Mansion and all that, I had many, many chances to go to the Playboy Mansion. I never did. And I thought, and people always ask me, why didn't you do that? And I thought, well, it just was so, not that I was some prince. I mean, believe me, I played in Hollywood as a young man. I was single and I was, dating and I was playing. But I just didn't want to get into that black sort of twisted underbelly. And I knew it was there because you heard the stories, and I didn't really experience that much of it. But I saw enough and was approached enough that I knew I had to maintain my upbringing, and I was just a young country boy from Vero Beach, Florida, and I wanted to maintain that to a certain degree.
Right.
I didn't want to become one of the Hollywood underbelly, and so I just made an effort to avoid it. There were things presented to me that I thought, and I, drugs and all of that, which I admittedly did play with myself, but almost everyone did in the 70s, 60s, 70s. And I fell into that, but I got out of it quickly. And I just never got to the point where I would be disappointed in myself for my behavior.
So you kept your upbringing,
right?
It created a moral standard that you decided, there's certain lines I am not going to cross.
Right. My mother and father, Pastor, they always said, Craig, stay who you are, be true to yourself. They brought me up very well, very disciplined. My father wasn't afraid to use that white belt on us. And my mother didn't, but my mother was a lovely lady, lovely woman. And my father was a good man. He had some issues. And they just, I always saw them when I was confronted with things. I always saw my family and my brother and sister, and I thought, no, I'm not going to be something different. I'm going to have the morals and the character and the value I have. I'm going to keep them. I can do this and still keep them.
Right. Well, so, Craig, so I wanted to ask you this. This is an important point too. because so Pastor had just mentioned about your moral upbringing with your parents, right? I mean, that usually follows most people throughout their life. And in your case, it shows, you were able to avoid the temptations of Hollywood, which I'm sure was very easy to do, especially as a young man. Was your upbringing, was it a Christian household or more?
No,
No, okay.
no. I'll try and brush through this quickly.
Sure.
But my grandfather, who lived in 99 and a half, was from Czechoslovakia, and he came here on the boats, and he learned English, and he learned to be a salesman for insurance salesman, and he used to pay us, Gary and I, 5 cents every Sunday if we'd polish our shoes before before we went to church.
Okay.
And we went to a Presbyterian church.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't connect. I mean, I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. I didn't connect to any of it. As I recall, a lot of it was in Latin, and they were doing, and it was just over my head. And I was just sitting there going through because I was getting paid 5 cents to shine my shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that bought a lot of candy in a movie.
Yeah, so,
a movie was 10 cents. All the popcorn and candy was about 5 cents, 15 cents. You had a heck of a time. So, and this is 1945, 46, 47. And I just, I just followed my parents' lead. And my parents, as wonderful as they were, great people, they didn't ever continue to pursue that in our lives, and we weren't going to do it at 5, 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And when we moved to Vero Beach in 54, I was 12, and it ended, Paul. We just never went back to church. My father had a drinking problem. He was trying to get on top of that. He was working hard jobs to keep the family together. My mother was a city manager's secretary, and they were just real basic, and everything was focused on that. We were focused on the beach.
Yeah.
And getting to the beach and doing the silly party things you did in 1954, which wasn't very bad.
Mm.
I just never, we never followed after that point. We never followed it. We never stayed involved. My daughters went to Catholic school, junior high and high school, and I agreed with my ex-wife then to put them through that. And it was pretty expensive. And because I knew it was a good education. And so I agreed with her. They went through those years in Catholic school. And I think to this day, they're believers in God, but I don't think they're Christians.
Okay.
I don't think they follow Christ. I don't think they've given themselves to Christ. I am asking them now to do that. I send them passages every morning, and I have for a year or two. My wife sends them I send them to my daughters, and they are responding some. They're saying good, positive things.
Good.
And yes, Dad, and they were so shocked when I became a Christian. And I'll briefly get into that. Hollywood, the Christianity did not fit into Hollywood when I was. That was just not part of the deal.
Yeah, right.
Nobody would dare say it because they'd be blackballed. I think it was just no. This is party time. Do your cocaine and shut up, and so anyway, at some point around when I went to Catholic school. I went to Catholic church with my daughters, but just out of respect for them. I didn't ever care for the Catholic Church. I didn't care for the way it was always about Joseph and Mary, and I'm never Christ that I knew of. And they had a cross for Christ on it, and I didn't like the whole
tradition.
Pontus, just the leaders of the church. I knew there was a lot of pedophilia involved in it and everything, and there's a lot of issues, and I didn't like it. So, but they had got a good education. So, and then when I met my wife, Lynn, my beautiful, darling wife, she was a Christian her whole life, but she'd sort of drifted off. Her whole family, 12 kids, they're all Christians. And she said, Craig, I want to get back to my Christian roots. And I said, okay, honey. She said, I found a church here out in California. This is about 15 years ago. And I would like to start going to you. Would you join me? I said, sure, I'll join you. Well, I did. And sure enough, I'm sitting there eating donuts and drinking coffee and going, and I started really listening. And I'm just really I'm going, well, that sounds, so I started researching, read a couple of books, A Case for Christ.
Yeah.
Those things, Sobel.
Yeah.
So, and documentaries, and it started making sense to me. And I'm looking at these atheists who started doing research, and over 8-10 years, they come back and they're devout Christians. And I'm going, maybe I'm missing something. And so I started going when we came here. I went to church with her there, still hadn't committed to anything. And we came here about 5.5 years ago. I went to another church in town, which we left because I thought they were too busy doing little sermonettes and not really talking the truth like Pastor Paul and Pastor Melvin. They speak about how Christ applies to our lives, everyday lives, and our society. They didn't. They made it sound cute, and they were just trying to keep their parishioners happy, And I saw that. And anyway, one day one of the pastors was speaking, and I looked at my wife, Lynn, probably 5 years ago, and said, honey, I think I'm a believer. Well, she just, she's sitting there crying in church, and I just all of a sudden hit me. I thought, I'm missing it. I'm missing something very important here. I've got to get Christ in my life. So I got baptized in our pool at our house.
Yeah.
And about 6 other parishioners there came, and they got rebaptized. My wife got rebaptized. And
That's pretty awesome.
I was 82 then, or 81 or something like that. I'm 84 now. So, I mean, I was, about 4 years ago. And I just I read the Bible. I've sat down. I'm going to reread it now. And we started coming a few years ago. My wife walked into my computer table and said, honey, look at this. And she says, look at this. And I look at it, and I think it was Pastor Melvin speaking then, preaching that day. And there's Izzy, and his group playing this wonderful music. And I looked at it, I'm looking at it, and she said, look, and here's where they are. It's a tent.
Yeah, it was a tent. Yep.
And I got to tell you something. I was so enthralled with that tent because when I grew up in Florida, it was all tents. A lot of it was tents. They did revivals.
A lot of tent revivals.
A lot of the black people did revivals, and I love those. I thought they used to give me goosebumps when I'd listen to them. Hallelujah, they'd be singing and screaming. It was just amazing. And I thought, and I said to her, I said, honey, that's where I want to go, because we were not happy with the other church. And I said, I want to go there. So we went that Sunday, and we have never left, because then we got to know Pastor Paul, and we just, to this day, I know people come and go. They got unhappy. That happens in any congregation. People, can't handle the truth, or they want pomp and circumstance. I don't care about that. I love the tent. I'd love to have a building with air conditioning and bathrooms.
Sure.
I mean, hey,
that's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. And
but I love the tent atmosphere too.
I just, something about it that makes it just spiritual. It's just it's like you're under the stars. I don't know. I something about it that I like. And so we, I now promote, that's a bad word. I now try and get my daughters. I'm trying to get my daughters and get
witness.
To witness and get my 3 grandkids involved in Christ now. Get them to a non-denominational, good Christian school or church, and I'm hoping, Pastor, they do that.
I believe they will.
I can't. I'm not going to go out there and preach to them and say, I'm not going to do that, and I don't think I should. I just am trying to, be a witness and say, hey, here's what it is. And I've told them, they were stunned when they heard I was become a Christian. They went, what? I was on the phone,
Yeah,
on FaceTime, and FaceTime, and they were like, "You have got to be kidding me!" They're going and they're laughing and they're saying, "Dad, you were an atheist." I said, "No, I was never an atheist ever. I was an agnostic. I had never ever said I didn't believe in Christ or believe in God. I just didn't know.
Right, right.
I really didn't. I didn't know, and so we'll see what happens. I'm praying that my daughter and my grandkids, especially with the way our country's going, I think it's very important that our country gets back to a Judeo-Christian society, which God always intended it to be.
Well, I think that I wanted to touch on that briefly, Craig, because your story of coming to, your whole life story really, I mean, you could probably say now it kind of all culminates into this fact of you finding Christianity late, much later in life, 80, 81 years old. But I think a lot of people need to hear that. Now, we have I'm 36, pastor's 63 and
holding.
and Craig here.
That's what I am. I'm only 68.
68 and holding. Okay.
And Craig's 68 and holding. But I mean, I think it's important because, we have, 20, 30 year, 50-year generation gaps in between all of us sitting here.
Right.
But everybody watching this as well. I mean, I think this audience for this podcast, but it's going to go on Pastor's main channel too. Anywhere from, probably 18 years old all the way up to 90, 95 and higher. But I think it's important, really what you had mentioned is, well, I wasn't an atheist. I was an agnostic. I just didn't know. But you were grown, you were raised with moral values and you
correct.
At some point you
don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal.
But I mean, also at some point you're like, I don't really want to go there. This seems a little too dark in Hollywood. There was something that was always talking to you the whole time, and you may not have associated it with, Christianity and following Christ, but you were still following the moral path, which I think is important. It's a lot of people that are watching this are trying to find their way through faith, whether it be Christianity or any sort of moral faith as well.
Well, you have to open up, folks, you have to open up your opportunity. I gave my daughters, I put them in Catholic school because I said to them, I want you to learn about religion and I want you to follow your own hearts and minds.
Right.
You find out. And that's what people have to do. Speaking of that, you're speaking of young people. I'm hoping, Pastor, that, this isn't my business. It's not my church, obviously. But I'm hoping that AC, the new pastor, and some other people will start not promoting, but go out and be witnesses to young people.
Right.
We need to get younger people. Our congregation is so elderly that I'm hoping and praying they'll get some youth program going so that we get because there's a lot of young Christians now with with Charlie Kirk, a lot of great young Christians now. And boy, I'd love to get them in our church here.
Well, that's
and bring them in.
You bringing this up. We're getting ready to have a big turning point event here under the big tent.
Exactly.
And
I can't wait.
And part of it was, I know we've been waiting for once we get the building built to create the youth program, but I don't know if we can wait around all day. We got to get moving, don't we?
Yeah.
Even for the building's built, let's go ahead and let's start the youth program.
It makes my heart just jump when I see young people come into our tent, and they're 8, 10, 12, 15, 17, especially teenagers and 20s.
Yeah.
I sit there and I go, honey, to my wife, man,
we need this.
Yes, we need this. We need to. But anyway, I'm sure and she said, well, honey, I think you have to get the building built first. And I said, yeah, I know. I know.
It helps to have the facilities, but
but
I'm glad we're having this event. Okay. And this could be the beginning, the catalyst of it. Okay?
Yeah.
And you're right. AC coming in on board with us. It's going to help us.
I can't wait to have them here. When are they coming? The TP?
That the 14th of December, I believe, is the big.
Wow.
And Josh Aaron is also going to be here singing. So it'll be a massive.
Oh, it's going to be huge.
It's going to be a huge event. So
great.
We're looking forward to it. But
great. Me too.
But Paul, you're right. The generational Christ works in every generation.
Yeah.
Youth all the way to our elderly years. Christ needs to be and has to be the center of your heart and your life, because there's so much distractions, is what you're saying. There's
Right.
so many distractions.
Exactly.
People got to have a baseline. And Christ really gave us that baseline. If we study the words of Jesus, he gave us the baseline to follow. And none of us are perfect. Nobody out there watching right now is perfect. I'm certainly not perfect.
No.
These guys might be, but
No.
he's actor. He might be acting to be one. But I mean,
Of this group of three, I'm the furthest from being a perfect human being. Trust me on that.
well, no, I don't. I'm just saying that we're all needed. We all needed the grace of God. We all have to have the grace of God in our lives to help us along this path. And Jesus is that answer.
Yeah, it just makes me feel so good now to pray. I pray every morning and before breakfast, before dinner, twice a day, every day with my wife, every day. And we pray for all sorts of things. But I find myself, I'll go out into the pool or the hot tub or something, and I'll be sitting there alone and being quiet, and I'll pray.
Yeah,
I just and I never even would dream of doing it. and it feels good. It feels really good to communicate with Christ, with God, and say, here's what I'd love to have happen. I'd love to have my grandkids come and follow you, and I want to be a good witness to them. And so it's. I never thought I would do that. I never thought in my life, and by the way, Paul, I didn't do this to make sure I got to heaven. Never even entered my mind.
Right.
I didn't do it for ulterior motives. I did it because I felt it.
Yeah.
I just felt my heart open up to it, and I said, Craig, you've got to. People my age typically won't change, and I may have made an effort to change in several things, and Christianity was one of them, and I could not be happier that I did.
I mean, the odds of someone being saved, giving their life to Christ in their 80s is almost impossible. I'm going to tell you, it's less than 1%.
A lot of people don't even make it that far.
They never even lived
first
that
of all.
long.
Yeah.
All right. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then to make this change is incredible. I mean, really it is, okay? And then to see someone like yourself not only accept Christ, but pursue him. In other words, I
Right.
want to know more about what this means. I want God to be in every day. I want him in my life every day. And I want to share that with others. And I want my
Right.
children and my grandchildren to know who Jesus is, and to help coach them along a little bit at a time with grace. This is a big life change.
Yeah. Very.
I mean, it's
very,
huge.
very much so. But like you said to me, well, it's never too late.
It's never too late.
Yeah.
And I know I'm one of the few that probably at this age make that transition. But I think you can't. And I can think of a few of my friends that are just stuck in their lives. They're just stuck. They're not going to change. I mean, it drives me nuts. They will not they will not change. They could not make change. And I've made many changes here in my 70s and 80s, which I think you always have to be open to that,
Right.
to
grow
to grow,
That's
and
right.
certainly to bring Christ in your life, because I think it's so important for our youth. And I wish I would have done it earlier in life. But it's, I remember when my brother died. In my arms, my father and my brother. It's always fun. And his wife, and he was not a Christian. Of course, I wasn't at that point. And his wife said, I want to bring a pastor in to give Gary last. I said, well, fine, that's fine with me. There's a whole bunch of the family there. And this pastor came, and he said something over Gary, and he was in and out. And I think I said, Gary, shake your head if you understand. And he went,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm praying that at that point he gave himself to Christ. And well, I mean, that's not too late.
That's not too late.
Right.
If he didn't say it because he couldn't speak.
He could, but he nodded his head. He understood it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and when I became a Christian, I look back on that too. Oh, and I got to tell you another one.
Okay.
When my father died, I came down to Florida with my brother, and we were with him for that week and a half, and he got worse and worse, and he was lying in bed, and he finally he finally passed. and guys, I can't tell you. I was sitting there like this, holding his hand. My brother and mother were behind the foot of the bed, and I was holding his hand. And I swear that I felt like an aura, like his spirit, go like this and come up. And I turned and looked back at Mom and Gary, and right above them, and out the window. I
Just seeing him go.
Yeah, and I wasn't a Christian. I'm sitting there, and I got like goosebumps.
Wow.
And I told them, I said, I just saw Dad's like spirit just lift out of his body. I could not. It still didn't take me.
That's amazing.
Take me to Christ, but I look back now and I think, I don't know. They say our spirit, I guess, goes
Back
to
to God.
not our physical body, and I to this day, I think that happened.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think that's probably part of the, the mysterious ways too, or the little breadcrumbs, because that's going to stick with you forever, right? But again, it's another portion of, there is something else to this here. Like what? There's no way to describe that in any other way than how you kind of did, right? It's more like a feeling. You can't even really put it into words.
Yeah. It is. It was just amazing.
Well, Craig, you were look, folks. Craig was Jason of Star Command.
Yeah.
Okay. And we need to look at this.
Yeah, let's show that.
We need to show this.
Jason of Star Command.
That hurt, by the way.
There you are. Did that hurt?
Yes, it did.
John Russell. John Russ.
Second time I worked with him, Sid passed away. Great guy. Yeah.
I mean,
By the way, that's where I get most of my fan letters. I just got one. I still get fan.
wait.
Oh.
Before we tell you about your all right, you're going to crash through this door.
Right.
No stunt double here, right?
No. Didn't use them then. I did all my
Was
own
this a
stunts.
one take here to go through this door?
Yes.
Okay, because I was going to say, you probably didn't have to do this many times.
Yeah.
So check this out, guys. So he goes,
It's balsa wood, though.
it don't matter. That hurt.
Ow.
That hurts. Okay.
They put me in pads.
Okay.
But they wanted to put me in pads, but I have such a tight outfit on that I couldn't really put in hip pads and everything.
Right.
So I did it without pads. And when I went through, I came down like this on my side. I was trying to go through and turn on my back. And I planned it before I went through, and it didn't. Once I hit the door, I couldn't, and I slammed on that hard floor. And I'm like, oh man! Luckily, I was young and in great shape, But I just, it was so funny. I got up, groaning, cut.
Now this series ran about what, 2-3 years?
3 years. It shot for 2, 78, 79. My daughter was born along my first one in 79, and then ran to 80. 78, 81, I think.
On what network was this?
It was a CBS. It was started out a 15-minute show and then started being half-hour shows. And then it was 8:30 in the morning. So it was a children's show, basically. But
CBS.
I've got to tell you that the production value of that show was really advanced. People ask me that all the time when I do podcasts or I do interviews, which I just did one recently. What that was like working with that, because, when you work with animation and you're sitting there acting, which is another acting issue, and there's a monster there. The monster's not really there. You're looking at a Klieg light, or you're looking at something that the director's saying, look right here. And I was looking there, and then they later put the animation in. Their animation was really sophisticated for back then.
In that time period,
And People and Wiki, the little robots I used, they broke down all the time. It was such a pain in the neck. They cut, and Wiki broke down again, and that happened all the time.
Little robots.
That was that little robot I have in my belt,
Yeah.
And anyway, it became quite iconic. I mean, it's really a classic. People still, young people, write me all the time. I've watched all of Jason. My whole family has, and this was. I was 38, 37, 38. I mean,
Here's a
long.
picture. Here's a picture of it again. As there he is. So
40,
you're 37, 38 years old. Great shape.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I worked out at the gym every day. I mean, all my whole life. So I was always staying in good shape. Yeah.
Well, I know my granddaughter. We watched the first 3 episodes of the first season of this series. Then she came back again to Florida, so we watched episodes 4 and 5. She's 21 years old.
Oh, did you really?
But we got into it and then start talking about that era because I was thinking, okay, I was in high school. I graduated in 1980, so I remember this was on television. I was older now. I'm not going to really watch children's shows that much back in then, but I remember it being on TV. I remember Saturday morning this being on television.
Right. Yeah.
So had no clue.
Right.
Who that one day I would meet you. I mean, no clue. You never know in life how things are going to work.
and also in some little village in the Florida.
The village wasn't even here. This is before the villages was thought of.
Exactly.
You're in California. I'm in Indiana.
Right. Yeah.
Young guy growing up.
We did one of our promo shows there in Cleveland, I think it was.
Ohio? Cleveland,
yeah.
Ohio. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you grew up in Indiana.
I grew up in Indiana.
I didn't know if we went to Indiana or Ohio.
Nobody comes to Indiana, so I doubt it. Okay.
we did promos. Sid Haig, you saw Sid as Dragos. Sid unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. Great guy. Big, tall, big, he had this great voice. We went off and did promos, and we went and did a circus. I think it was in, but anyway, cities, but Cleveland or somewhere in Indiana. And it was a whole circus. They had the 3 ring, and we started out with this and Jason of Star Command, the announcer said, like it does in the show. And I came out on center stage, the circular stage, and all the kids are screaming, and then we started this skit with Dragos, just not present at the time. He's just on his microphone saying, Jason, I'm going to, and we started doing this whole skit.
Yeah.
And so we did this, 5-minute skit, and all the kids just loved it. And they said, okay, kids, so you can go backstage now. Just line up and go backstage, and Jason and Dragos will sign autograph pictures for you. So they put us at a table back with the animals, and right to our right, probably 50 feet away, are the elephants. Well, I mean, you can imagine what it smelled like. and I looked at Sid. He was here, and I was here. We're signing books, and the kids are lining up and coming in. And I'm looking at this. I said, "Wow, that's amazing, Sid. I don't know about our careers here. We're sitting here by an elephant."
I don't know where we're going.
He said, "Well, we could always leave." I said. He said, we could always be that guy. I said, yeah, what, and give up show business? Like you said, and the guy's over there shoveling manure, and then we're signing pictures, and it smells like a urinal. I mean, it was just a straight, and you think, I don't know if this is exactly stardom, but we did sign a few pictures, so hopefully I'm going to sign some of these too. By the way, I have a book signing at all Booked Up, which is a bookstore here in the Villages. On the 15th of December, I'm doing the Writers League of the Villages, which about 2,500 people come to. It's all the authors. Oh, really? And I have a table. I'm going to be at the table and have selling my book with Lenny. I've done a senior living homes. I do one today after we finish this.
Doing a book signing today.
I'm going over to a senior living place to do it. I've done 3 or 4 of them, and I'm doing a newspaper thing. I'm going to do Barnes and Noble, I think. So I'm staying that.
Really, and you're going to do on November, if folks, November 23rd, right here at Freedom Fellowship under the big tent. Craig is going to be doing a book signing, and you can meet him in person. and he'll sign the book for you, and you can enjoy the service and enjoy the atmosphere under the big tent, and then also the book signing that Craig you'll be doing. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. Yeah, it's by the way, I did not write this to sell it. My whole point was not to sell a book. I never planned on it. I planned on a paperback, which this is, but I wrote it for my family, for my kids and grandkids as a legacy. I just wanted them to know what Grandpa had done. My daughters are well aware of it, but I wanted them to all have a book and have some of my history in it for my legacy. Then I started getting talked into it by the publisher and by another author, and they were saying, "Craig, this is a great story. You've got to publish this. You've got to get this out in front of the people." And I just decided maybe 6 months ago to start selling it. It took me 8 years to write this book.
Wow,
8 years. Well, off and on.
I know.
I'd move homes, move to Florida, and I'd write some more. But my daughters kept saying, "Dad, you got to get this done before it's too late." I mean, you're getting up there in age.
You got to get this thing done, right?
And I did. I finished it, and I wrote it. I didn't have a grocer, and
that's great.
Trust me, I am not a writer. And my wife read it, and she's like an English major. I mean, she can write and read and everything. I mean, she's just really smart.
Yeah.
She said, "Craig, honey, it's a really good book. Really good book." Now, I had an editor go through it and correct it for me and everything.
Right.
Obviously, a professional editor. But I'm really proud of this because I am not a writer, and I think it's a good book about what it's like to be a country boy and a kid, and a country boy and end up in Hollywood. It's quite a tale.
Yeah. Well, I was going to mention that I'm excited to read it, and I appreciate you bringing us some of the first copies of the book here.
Yeah.
But you mentioned I'm always excited to hear about somebody that said, "Oh yeah, no, I actually wrote it myself," because when you read it, it actually sounds it reads better than somebody who's like a
ghostwriter,
a ghostwriter or a distinguished author, because it actually comes from the heart and the story. I'm kind of comparing it to Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights. I don't know if you've read that before.
No.
Great book. It's just, he kept a diary pretty much since he was 18. And he just went back and wrote a little memoir about it. It's great. I mean, he's not a writer, but when you listen to it, it comes from the heart, and it's just stories. And that I was so excited the first time when we talked to you, Craig, about you saying that you were putting a book together. And I'm so happy now that it's done. I actually want to get into it and read it.
I'm going to start reading it this afternoon. What I'm going to do.
I don't know. So we covered, and then again, if you haven't watched our first episode with Craig, you can go back here on the podcast and find it, because we also talked about a lot of other stories that we didn't cover here today. But if it's okay with you, I wanted to read the epilogue here.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so Craig writes, "The object of this book is that when I'm gone, I have left my daughters and grandchildren some family history and a legacy of their past. I pray that when I pass on and meet my Maker, I have in some small way left a lasting impression on this world by entertaining people and being in God's eyes a good human being. My life has been a wild, exhilarating, and magical ride. I would change none of it. This is, except for a few $1 million that I left behind due to poor decisions."
That's true.
That's true.
That being said, I have had a wonderful life with many blessings and few regrets. I pray I will be remembered as a loving father, grandfather, and husband. I love you all, and I will always have a place, and you will always have a place in my heart.
Yep. Yeah. And that's something that I think to hire a writer to do your book, like you said, Paul, it just doesn't sound the same. When I went to my publisher, we went through edit, and he changed a bunch of things. He said, "I'm going to," and I had to have him change some of it back.
Yeah.
Because it just didn't sound like me. It sounded like him. I said, no, that isn't what you don't know my business, and you're trying to make it sound like, the innuendos and the subtleties of the business are such that you can't get somebody else to write it for you. It's not a
Right.
novel or something,
Right.
it's an autobiography. And so anyway, I'm happy that I've kept most of it the way I wrote it.
Yeah.
Well, 99% of it is just me writing.
You writing.
And then me editing and going back and forth.
But you
and back
are,
and-
even though you say you're not a writer, as a professional writer, you are very gifted in your communication skills.
Right.
You're articulate, and you put that in your writing. And I'm sure as I'm reading it later, I'm going to be able to pick up on that real well. I can already tell by just looking what I have while we've been in the interview, but by listening to you, because you are good at reading screenplays, understanding how to do that with all your acting career.
Right. And this is a kid that all but failed English. I mean, literally, I got
amazing.
I got a D+ in English because my English teacher was from Alabama. She talked like this, and
Right.
she would teach me English, and I go home. My parents say, "Why are you getting such bad grades?" I said, "I can't understand a word the lady's saying.
Yeah.
I can't understand."
Yeah.
And I literally, and then years later, I'm writing a book, and then my father said, "I can't believe, Craig, when I was starting to make it in Hollywood and I was doing movies and stuff," he said, "I didn't think you were ever smart enough to memorize a script." Well, I was doing 2 shows at one time on the road when I was
Wow.
doing stage shows. I would be doing Oklahoma, and while we're rehearsing My Fair Lady, and we're performing one and learning the other. You know how hard it is
That
to
would-
remember songs and dialogue when you've got another show you're putting in your brain and you're trying to keep them separate?
And so you acted. I understand television. I understand commercial. I understand all the reshoots and everything I do in
Right.
movies. But to me, acting on stage
Oh,
in front of an audience, live, every night,
Mm.
it's a gruel.
that has
It's-
got to be the most grueling thing in the world.
well, Pastor, I got to tell you,
I don't even know how you can do that.
Yeah, theater is just amazing. Theater is a total different exercise than on camera, where they can cut and
paste
edit
and-
and right.
right.
They do it. That curtain goes up, you are on your own, and there is no such thing as going up. I could give the audience a few examples. I was doing in Las Vegas. I was doing Unsinkable Molly Brown, starring in it as Johnny Brown, a musical.
Mhm.
And it's about Molly Brown, who survived the sinking of the Titanic.
Okay.
She and Johnny Brown, Leadville Johnny Brown, Colorado, were miners, made a lot of money. She became famous in New York as a hillbilly celebrity. Went on the Titanic, survived it. They did a play. Well, I had just finished doing Carousel,
Okay.
in
That's,
LA.
yeah, that's a big deal.
and I did Billy Bigelow, the lead,
yeah.
and I sang in Vegas. We had a 30-piece orchestra out there, 500-seat theater.
Yep.
And I walked out pin spot on, and Paul Loudon, the conductor's over there, the orchestra, and he's doing, and I started singing, "If I loved you time and again, I would try to say." Well, that's the lead song from Carousel. And I'm doing Johnny Brown, and the orchestra,
Yes.
he's like this, he's turning around and going,
You're singing the song from the other play.
The musicians are going, what? I
So
swear.
what did you do? Come on, this is a moment here.
Yeah,
You
I'm-
got to ad lib quick.
I'm in front of 500 people,
People.
and I'm all alone on stage. I could give you another
Spotlight's
example
on you.
in the Fantastics, but I was so stunned. But you're a professional, and you have to learn. If a light blows and the glass, you have to focus. You can't stop. So he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I thought, "Oh, Craig, you're singing the wrong song." It's flashing like in my brain, and I got to tell you, they kept playing, and I went right into the song from Johnny Brown, which I can't today remember, because the first 16, 20 bars were exactly the same as "If I Loved You," which is the famous song from Carousel. So my brain, I just finished that show, it just went back to it.
Yeah, automatic.
But on stage, you can't yell cut, and redo it. You know?
No,
I mean,
Hold on a minute, folks. That was the other play.
Right.
Let's start this over. Can't do that.
Audience never knew Paul Loudon came. We did 2 shows a day, 6 days a week, and it was grueling. And Paul came to me at dinner in between shows. He said, "Craig, what was that?" Except he swore. What the heck was that?
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, Paul, I'm sorry. I started singing Carousel because it's hard to drop one and just snap into another."
Yeah, right.
I did that all the time on the road when I was on the road with Ann Miller as her leading man, doing
Yeah.
that show. That was just one show, so I could focus on that. But when you're doing summer stock theater like I did for 3 years, I did dozens of shows: Oklahoma, South Pacific, Bye Bye Birdie, My Fair Lady. I mean, I did a lot of shows, and you have to overlap them. So every couple of weeks you're learning a new show.
While you're still on this show.
Yeah, you're still on stage doing that one. And boy, I got to tell you, you wouldn't believe what happens. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens. The other actors looking at you going,
Yeah.
well, yeah, and you're like just saying something that they never heard of. But you got to keep going. It's an exercise in just self-control.
Yeah.
You have to stay focused. And mind you, as a kid, I was a lousy student. I was literally a C student. I was an awful student. I'd never, ever, I couldn't memorize a sonnet when I was in high school, the Shakespearean sonnet. They're about 4 lines.
Yeah.
I just could not. And I end up memorizing scripts for a living. My father said, "Craig, I never understood. I just don't understand how you did that, how you ever could do that." He was so amazed that I was, but that, yeah, theater is a whole nother exercise. I was doing The Fantastics, which is the show that made my career. I went from starring as El Gallo in The Fantastics, which was the longest running off-Broadway show in history. I went from singing that, we had many moments during that year that I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And one, I'll give you a couple of quicks if we have time. I'm all in all black, and so in show business, you always, when you're on stage, men always make sure their zippers zipped up. That's
We should
something
do that.
they all check because you wouldn't believe what happens. So I didn't one day, and I'm in black, and I'm sitting there on a thing, and I'm singing, "Try to remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh so mellow," which is the big song in the show, and I sing it sitting all solo on this big
Stool.
box. I'm like this, my legs spread out, a big box, and the audience is full of little nuns and their Catholic school kids, all in the front rows.
Okay.
They aren't 20 feet away, and they are giggling and laughing. I'm singing something. What is going on? And I come out and I take everything's swashed. I take my hat off and I put it in the box, and I sing "Try to Remember," and they're laughing. And then Chris Kane, by the way, Dean Kane's father, Dean Kane,
Dean Kane.
he was the boy in it. He was and he's stage left, and he comes over stage right, and he's going, "Craig, your zipper's open." And I thought he's a real practical joker.
Yeah, so you thought he's messing with you.
I said, "Yeah, right." And I went, well, I had white underwear on, and I'm in black. And I went, I mean, I can't, when you're in the middle of a scene, you think, and your brain's doing that, and you're trying to think of how do I zip my zipper up without being obvious. And they're giggling. These kids, they're all giggling. And it was a girls' Catholic school. And so I got up and I kept saying, when I turned around, and I grabbed my hat and put it in front of my, and I went, zip, and I turned around, put my hat down, got back in the box. I know they knew what I was doing, but I mean, those things just
you never know.
happen. And you have to be prepared, because theater can be very frightening, but it's so rewarding. It's so exciting. It's so rewarding to get, I mean, Izzy would know. He's done a lot of music, and you, of course, you preach in front of a lot of people. It's show business, basically. It's like show business. It's performance.
You have to perform. Yeah, as a preacher, and as you know, And I guess the only difference would be for preaching than maybe being on Broadway or being an actor of these plays, is it's not scripted.
Right.
It is a one-shot deal. You won't be doing it again next week, this same thing.
Right.
You have, and you really don't know exactly where you're going to go. I mean, you have an outline, you have an ideal, but you really don't know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
And it's time. Here's the microphone. It's got to happen.
Mm.
And you got to be able to
Yeah.
and to ad lib,
Yeah.
to move and
improvise,
and
yeah.
improvise, read the room, feel the spirit, hear God's voice, and try to bring people to Christ. But it's still
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word performance, but kind of it is a performance in a way.
Well, it's a performance in truth, for sure. You're
In
talking
truth,
about
yes.
Christ and the Bible.
Absolutely.
And God, I mean, there's no question. That's not a performance in that respect, but the ability to do it,
It's
to
still
perform it. And Pastor Paul and Pastor Melvin are very good at that. Now, I know as a pro, I can see when they have gotten off their,
You can see, yeah.
I mean, I can tell.
It's easy to see when I'm off because I'm off most of the time.
Well, yeah, but he covers it so well that I don't think anyone notices. I mean, I don't care because they always keep going, and it's always very interesting, and they're always telling the truth,
Right.
which I love. So
But
told,
being a performer, you can tell whether
yeah,
when we're
I'm sure.
ad-libbing or adding into or improvising.
or there's pauses. I know the
Pauses,
brain's
yeah.
going.
The brain is.
Yeah.
I always ask my wife when I'm done. We'll get in the car on the way home. I'll say, "Honey, I hope that sermon was okay." She'll say, "Oh, it was incredible," or she'll say, "But I know that you when you struggled in this." She'll say, "There's an area there. You really had to, you've made a bridge there. I don't know how you pivoted out of that or something because she knows me." Okay.
Right, exactly. But we don't know. And I tell you, every sermon they've got, I've never seen a bad one, either he or Pastor Melvin. I never. I think that's why we're at the church, because of you guys and because of Izzy,
Right.
And his music. And
now you're getting to meet all the great people. I mean, now that you're building friendships too among the congregation, I mean, that's a part of it, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
When people come to church.
Oh yeah, we love it. It's just the camaraderie. We walk in, and it's always. Of course, my wife and I are almost always late.
Well, here's the thing about since we've been not in the tent now. This coming Sunday, we're back in the tent. I love you and your wife being right there, pretty close behind me.
Yeah,
and then in this setting, it's like, where's Craig? I'm looking around, like, where's Craig? Oh, there they are. They're here
in the back.
Yeah.
Well, because that's not so conducive.
Right.
It's more spread out and it's angled toward the speaker.
So I love Sunday. We're back in the tent. I love that.
Is it 9:30?
You know,
10. I don't know.
Wow.
Did they change the time?
Do you know, Kristen? Are you still? It's at 10.
10.
Okay,
10.
Okay.
Oh, so we're going to 10 now.
Okay.
I
kind of like 10.
Used to be 9:30. Yeah.
It used to be 9:30. But then again, 9:30. I know what they're thinking is, though, when it gets hotter, it's we start earlier, but we'll see where we're at. But 10. So it's 10.
Yeah,
so
good.
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock every Sunday.
You folks out there that want to join us, 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Okay.
Come on. I'll see you there.
Book signing, too,
Yeah.
for Craig. You get to meet Craig.
Yeah.
And his wife, Lynn, she's a beautiful
she's
lady.
Darling.
And talented. She's extremely talented. Her
Oh,
career as well.
23 years with Disney as an events coordinator, producer of their shows with the characters and talent all over the world.
Wow. I mean, she's incredible.
She's amazing. That girl's smart as a whip and beautiful on top of it.
We married up. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah. We're way out of our league, Pastor.
I can tell you that.
Hey, Paul, I'd probably the same thing. Huh?
Oh yeah. All three of us are
Thank God we did.
somehow able to convince.
And then, Pastor Izzy has Kristen.
Oh, she's
in there
wonderful.
doing all this great stuff for us all the time. I mean, she's a wonderful girl as well.
I don't even know
wonderful lady.
I don't even know how much time do we have left. Kristen, do you know how much time do we have left?
She's going.
The clock will run out.
So folks, she's going.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Paul.
Yeah, I was going to say because Craig, you have other appointments today as well. So I know you're off to another
book
signing.
signing.
You're doing a book signing today.
I have a book signing.
Okay.
But I have up till 2 o'clock to get there. But it's a senior living facility.
That's nice.
Because I'm really doing. I don't sell a lot of books, but I tell them about the business and they see the pictures. And
Yeah.
it's really entertaining for them. I'm really sort of doing it.
You're blessing
as
them.
yeah. I mean, I'm doing it to sort of share it with them. And I don't know. I doubt I'll sell 10 books. I mean,
That's
it's,
okay.
it's not really
It
the
is
point.
not about
Doing
that.
it at the church is not the point. I mean, I make a few bucks on them, but it's just all about getting it out and let people read it, see it, and read
Right.
it. And
Right.
so, I'm happy to do it. And I'm there for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And my wife comes with me, and
It's nice.
because of my hearing aids, I have the worst time hearing some people's voices.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah.
whatever.
Nice help. Nice help.
Yeah. But anything? Do you have anything else?
No, I was going to close.
Oh,
Is that all right?
Oh, yeah.
Now,
No,
now let me just say this: the book signing will be at Freedom Fellowship under the big tent on November 23rd.
Yep.
But for a lot of you watching out there from all over the country and around the world, you can order your copy of this book. I know you can go to Amazon
yeah.
or Barnes and Noble
Right.
and all them.
Mhm.
And can they order from you directly? Are you doing any of that, or you just want to go?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I don't have the amount of books. They have to order on
Right.
Amazon.
So they should go. You should go to Amazon and order his book today, and really be blessed reading the stories and the legacy of a Hollywood actor and the life you've lived. Extraordinary.
Yeah. And if they're here locally, they could always come to the book signing at the church
At
on
the church.
23rd
of November. 10 o'clock.
Yeah, 10 o'clock starts, and at the end of it, we'll do the book signing.
Yep.
So probably around noon. So anyway,
Yeah.
come out
Come out.
and say hello, and we'll sign a book for you. Yeah.
Amen.
Thanks.
Paul.
Thanks, Pastor.
Yeah, I just want to say, Craig, thank you so much for sharing your stories, your heart, and your new book with us today. We've really been looking forward to it since you were talking about it the last time we had you on.
Yeah.
Your journey from the studios of Hollywood to walking in purpose encourages us all to live with intention and faith. And I'm really happy we were able to get through your faith story
Yeah.
in this episode today too, because I was curious about that last time. We didn't get all the way through it.
Right. Some more show business. Yeah.
So for our listeners who want to learn more, you can check out Craig's guest page on paulbegleypodcast.com. And you can pick up his book, where we just mentioned Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Anywhere else we can pick that up?
Google, you can go to Google to IMDb, Internet Movie Database, and there you'll see my credits, not commercials, but theatrical credits if you just want to, interested in that, but also on Amazon, the book can be bought, so just Craig Littler, Legacy of an Actor, My Life and Times in Hollywood, yeah.
All right. Great. Thanks so much, Craig.
Thanks. Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Craig.
Thanks, Pastor.
It's a blessing.
My pleasure. Love these guys.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on the Paul Begley Podcast. New episodes will be released every Tuesday on all major podcast streaming platforms. For a video recording of this episode, you can watch and subscribe on our YouTube channel at Paul Begley Podcast. Hey guys, we want you to connect with us. Follow us on X and Twitter at Paul Begley Pod. We'd love to hear your questions you want us to answer on the show. For additional Paul Begley content, go to our website at paulbegleyprophecy.org. If you've thought about it, we'll talk about it. Paul Begley Podcast.